We live. We live, baby. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV, back at it again, my friends. And I just want to say, it was a crazy day of college football going on, man. We had some crazy upsets. We had overtime. I just literally finished the Duke and Carolina game, went into overtime. I don't know if y'all have seen, but I got the new podcast, Dukes of the Gridiron. Shout out to Believe Network. And we've been keeping up and following all the headlines with the ACC, but especially Duke, man. And Carolina just pulled off the come from behind victory in OT, man. Drake May ran two tutties, got the 2-point conversion, the go-ahead touchdown, the 2-point conversion. It wasn't pretty by any means, but he got the job done. Shout out to Bryson Nesbitt, the tight end, getting it in, bro, with the final touchdown, the final touchdown for UNC in regulation, man. Like, that was something special. Honestly, I feel bad because it felt like Duke was due. I mean, Mac Brown has beaten them 13 straight times. This is the fifth, I believe, straight year that they have lost this rivalry game to UNC. The second year straight where Drake May has come out and snatched these guys' souls out. I mean, what a game. I love OT. I love free football, guys. Y'all know it. Like, it was ridiculous. But I'm saying, hell of a classic. I will say, though, this man Drake May got outplayed by the true freshman out of Gaffney, South Carolina. Grayson Loftus came out there and threw 3 tutties in his second start ever. We gotta salute him. We gotta salute Jordan Walters toting that rock on the ground, man. We gotta show appreciation where it's due. But hey, Drake May came out and did what he was supposed to do. So respect to him. I gotta give it up to him, man. What games were y'all looking at though? What were the biggest games that y'all saw? That Carolina game is fresh on my mind. That's definitely not the only one we're gonna talk about. But that one's fresh on my mind right now because we just finished OT. I'm a little bit amped up about that game right now. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It was a good game though, and like I said, Loftus 3 touchdowns. This guy 15 for 27, buck 89, 3 tutties. Jordan Walters 20 carries, 113 yards, 2 tutties on his end as well, and then hey, we gotta talk about that bad man Jordan Moore. 6 catches, 3 tutties. Had the 2 final touchdowns for Duke. I mean, the kid was balling, got let go. They dared to cover him 1-on-1 in the final seconds of regulation, and he burned him. Now I know everybody's gonna be talking about that touchdown to Bryson Nesbitt, though the play before or the 2 plays before where it could have gone as an interception. I don't know. I'm surprised that it wasn't at least reviewed though, because of the fact that the Tez Walker catch was reviewed previously. So I'm surprised with such a 50-50 call. Now, I'm not saying there was enough to overturn the call, but it was a little weird that they didn't even acknowledge the fact that there was a potential turnover there. But hey, it worked out the way it was supposed to for Carolina, man. They got the dub. Just imagine, though, for 1 second, you saw all the fans, you saw the hypeness, you saw the energy down in Chapel Hill, right? Just imagine if they hadn't lost to Georgia Tech and they hadn't lost to Virginia and a college football playoff berth and the ACC championship berth was already locked up. I'm just saying, man. It's different when you got more to play for. But when we're talking about college football playoffs and we're talking about national championship contenders and the top teams in the country, we have to bring up those Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, handled business, completely destroyed Ole Miss, y'all. We talking about a team that's supposed to be number 9, number 10 in the nation. And Georgia just comes in and completely dominates this group in impressive fashion. And I've been kind of shying away from putting them up as the number 1 team in the nation. But after the performance today, you'd be hard pressed to not have them as the top team in the country, man. Kirby Smart's guys are rolling. And respect to them. They're doing it in dominant fashion, man. Carson Beck, 18 for 25, 306 yards, 2 tutties. Kendall Milton, 9 carries, a buck 27, and 2 tutties on that end. Dominant run game. They shut these guys out in the second half. Shout out to that Georgia defense, man. It doesn't matter how many guys they send to the league. It truly doesn't matter how many guys they send to the league. They just reload, they restock, and it seems like all roads are leading to showdown between them and Alabama. Another matchup between the mentor and the mentee, the teacher, the sensei, and the student. Nick Saban versus Kirby Smart. And you know it's going to be a dogfight, man. That SEC West versus SEC East, I love it. I think both teams are coming around at good times, man. We just saw Jalen Milroe. I mean, he's out there throwing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, had a hell of a game, had his best game in an Alabama uniform, I must say. Talking about Milroe, man. I need the respect and I need the praise to be as loud as the disrespect was. I'm gonna say it again. I need the praise and the appreciation and the love. I need that to be as loud as the disrespect was. I mean, we talking about 3 tutties through the air, 15 for 22, 234 yards. Also ran for 3 touchdowns, man. I mean, the kid Jalen Milroe accounted for 6 touchdowns. A few weeks ago, he was benched, and they were talking about we didn't know if he was going to be the starter or what have you. Comes in and completely dominates Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, man. They shut down the passing game, shut down Jackson Dart. Shout out to Juggins, though. Q Juggins, the only bright spot for Q Juggins, the only bright spot for Ole Miss, man. 2 touchdowns on the ground, 70 plus yards. But man, I tell you, shutting Ole Miss out in the entire second half, not an easy thing to do, man. Holding Jackson Dart, and then Alabama comes in and dominates a scrappy Kentucky team who has been in some games a lot of people felt like they shouldn't be in. You know, the SEC shaping up. The cream is separating. Shout out to Missouri, big win for them over Tennessee. The cream of the crop are what is the word I'm looking for, y'all? They're separating. They're separating. The cream is rising to the top. And the championship contenders, the Ohio States, the Michigans, oh my goodness. Shout out to Blake Corum, went crazy today as well. I think we're seeing like the top teams are finally starting to really separate themselves, man. And I feel bad for James Franklin and Penn State. The guys won 1 game against a top 5 AP opponent since he's been at Penn State. I think he's like 1-12, 2-12. It's something bad. They just don't win those big games, man. They lost to Ohio State. Now they've lost to Michigan. They're completely out of the playoff picture. I was honestly, just for the sheer chaos, I was honestly rooting for Penn State, those Nittany Lions, because I thought it would have been crazy to have to like that. If they beat Michigan, Michigan beats Ohio State already beat Penn State. Like, it could have got very interesting in the Big Ten. I'm just saying. But Michigan got it done. Obviously, everybody's seen the viral clip of the coach, the assistant coach taking over for Coach John Harbaugh. Very emotional. Harbaugh obviously suspended for the next 3 games. as it stands now, and Michigan still got it done. They still got it done. So respect to them getting it done. Um, honestly, winning for Coach Harbaugh, it seems like this could be the year that they get into that college football playoff and make some noise. I mean, we know they played, but I'm saying actually make some noise. I can see them getting to the national championship game. I can see them getting past Ryan Day and Ohio State. Um, Shout out to Ohio State dominating Michigan State. My goodness, this man Marvin Harrison Jr., the first wide receiver in Ohio State history to have multiple 1,000-yard seasons. And we're talking about a program that has produced all-pro after talent, rookie of the year level wide receivers, man. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is clearly right now the best of the bunch as far as the college ranks goes. And hey, Olave, Garrett Wilson said it. He's going to be better than both of those guys in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see. But, hey, shout out to those guys, man. Ohio State's defense, my gosh, holding Michigan State to 3 points. 3? I mean, it's embarrassing for them at this point, man. Ohio State is playing out of their minds. Michigan playing great football. I think that's like the top 4. I don't want to leave Washington out, but when you look at Ohio State and what they were able to do today, holding Michigan State to 3 points, I mean, it's just showing you that, like, we've seen that their defense have some questions, honestly, especially with rushing the quarterback. But the D-line has been a lot better, to say the least. Get these stats up for y'all. So, looking at the numbers, man, like, we're seeing what Ohio State is doing to teams. I mean, holding them to 3 points is just a conference opponent to 3 points that's different, man. I'm not saying Michigan State is like some juggernaut offensive type of team, but I'm just saying Ohio State's defense is putting in mad work, man. I think that they have been called out in the past, and in recent weeks, they, especially against Penn State too, they have answered the call for sure, man. I like this group. Kyle McCord is really, I think that he was kind of iffy the first few weeks of the season. He was kind of limiting the potential of this offense. Today, 24-31, 335 yards, 3 tutties. Marvin Harrison Jr., 7 receptions, a $149, 2 tutties of his own. They hold Michigan State to 182 total yards, no touchdowns, man. Team pitched a shutout and put up 530 yards of offense. Complete annihilation, complete domination, man. And they are putting their stamp on the Big Ten. They look good. They look good. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I like what they're doing. They're making things happen. They're playing. I think that was like a complete game from them, you know. And then we gotta talk about another title contender as well. The Pac-12's last hope, man, Washington. And we knew, like, you know what I'm saying, with Washington having that that blowout loss to Oregon, losing how they did, we knew that they were gonna come in with a chip on their shoulder, man. Utah getting blown out like they did against Oregon, completely embarrassing. We knew that defense was gonna come in and take the tall task of trying to contain this freaking juggernaut of an offense for Washington, man. I mean, Heisman Trophy favorite right now, Michael Penix. And he's got a lot of weapons at his disposal. He's playing the best football in college right now as far as quarterbacks. I mean, leading the FBS passing yards. He's up there in touchdowns. He's up there in completions. He's being asked to do a lot, and he's delivered. He's passed every test, and they remain undefeated up until this point, and strongly and firmly in the race for the college football playoffs, in my opinion, right now. I mean, they're stuck at number 5, but you look at it, Michigan or Ohio State has to lose. Alabama or Georgia has to lose as well. But Penix 24-42, 332 yards, 2 tutties, another big game from him. Johnson had 23 carries, a $104. Rome Odunze, 3 receptions, a $111, and 2 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? 3 catches, 2 of them were touchdowns, 111 yards. Every time he touched the ball, he was breaking loose, man. I mean, we gotta do the math right quick, bro, because that's kind of insane. I'm just curious about yards per reception. 37 yards per reception on average, man. Dude went insane. Him and Michael Penix are in sync. One of the best 1-2 combos in the country. Washington, man, it just doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. Depending on, and the Pac-12 could be shaped pretty soon, man. Depending on how Caleb Williams, they're currently playing Oregon right now. Depending on how Oregon and USC turns out, if the Trojans are able to get that upset, things get a little bit more simple for Washington in the Pac-12. But regardless of whatever happens, these guys have their own destiny in their hands right now. All they got to do is win out, and they are in the college football playoff. Period. Michael Penix should have the Heisman at the end of this season, and make sure it was good. Excuse me. But Michael Penix should be holding the crown for the Heisman Trophy winner at the end of the season. Speaking of the Pac-12, though, and Heisman Trophy winners, Colorado dropped another one. They're 1-7 in their last 8 games. It hasn't looked pretty. We just gotta be honest. It hasn't looked pretty so far. It hasn't looked pretty, man. They lost to Arizona today, and I just feel for Shedeur Sanders, man. I mean, the kid keeps balling. He keeps performing. He keeps coming in, trying to carry this team beyond their means. Their offensive line is one of the worst in the Power 5. I mean, it is terrible right now. It's embarrassing at this point, man. I mean, we gonna get into that because it's actually kind of crazy and like disturbing at this point. But we'll get into that. Basically, though, looking at the numbers for Colorado. There we go. Looking at the numbers for Colorado. It's crazy because y'all, they led in this game for a period of time. They were up 14-7. They led in this game for a period of time, and it looked like maybe, Arizona came into this game ranked in the top 25, so it looked like maybe they could get back into their winning ways, but it did not go that way. But Shedeur Sanders, 22-35, 262 yards, 2 tutties. He got sacked 4 times in this game and still was able to deliver. He was the team's leading rusher as well with 13 carries and a tutty. Xavier Weaver was his leading receiver. It's just, man, they got a lot of holes in that team, and I think most of us that were realistic understood that this was probably more likely how the season would go in their first year. And it's no disrespect to them, man. It's just the fact that it's hard building a team, and they're playing in one of the most loaded conferences in the nation. It's tough to just build a team from scratch. No matter how many Louis bags you got, no matter how much talent that you're bringing in through the transfer portal, it's tough. It's tough to build a team on the fly. We saw USC do it last year and had some success, but they had the same problems getting talent in the trenches, man, and building that depth. We've seen it, we've seen it, and we're seeing how it's impacting them now. Honestly, when you're just looking at these games, Shedeur, I'm gonna pull it up for y'all because it's actually kind of insane. I ain't gonna lie. Like, just how many times he's been sacked this year. So basically, the breakdown, I'm gonna pull it up too, but basically the breakdown, Shedeur has been sacked almost basically the total times that he's been sacked this year. He has a chance to be sacked more this year than than both his seasons last year. Spit it out, Brandon. Basically, so his 2 seasons at Jackson State, he may end up beating that sack total this year, year one at Colorado. Is basically what I'm getting at. That's what it's all boiling back down to, people. That's what we're talking about basically here. Is how atrocious this Colorado offensive line has been. And no, I'm not sitting here making excuses for Shedeur or nothing like that. Like, I'm not trying to tell people, you know what I'm saying, how to feel, how to act, or anything. Because Colorado has talked a lot. They've backed it up some. But it's been some struggles. It's been some ups and downs. But you can look at it and see, man. Shedeur's having one of his best years, like, of his college career right now. He's on pace with the yards, the touchdowns. He's 6 away from his rookie or his freshman season, but he's on pace to really, you know, have a better season. He's got a better QBR rating than he did his first year at Jackson State compared to his first year in the Power Five. People were worried about the adjustment, but just looking at the sacks, man. So he was sacked 35 times in 2021. He was sacked 23 times. They should have brought the whole offensive line from Jackson State. They kept him kind of clean. 23 sacks isn't horrible. It's still not great, but it's not horrible. But 45 sacks. 45 sacks. That is how much Colorado has given up. This man, Shedeur Sanders, been sacked 45 times. No quarterback on the planet is having success with that type of line, and Shedeur is doing it week after week, man. I don't know how many more. I don't know if he can. I know they're talking about him coming back next season. I don't know if he can handle another season, y'all. 45 sacks. 45. What are we talking about? What are we doing at this point? What are we doing at this point? Like, it's embarrassing, man. It truly is. And I just wanted to touch on that. Also, man, I gotta say, it's actually pretty funny in my opinion. The Big 12 is in freaking shambles right now. I mean, you got Oklahoma beating Texas, and then they losing to Oklahoma State. Then you got Oklahoma State, and they're losing to UCF. And everybody's just beating everybody, and I'm just kind of confused about the situation, man. But Oklahoma State got their damn doors blown off by UCF, man. Like, I don't know what happened. That is obviously not the same team that we saw beat Oklahoma recently. Like, there's no way. But they literally just put the nail in the coffin for Oklahoma's season, right? And then they just went and got their doors blown off 45-3 by UCF, a team that has won 2 games this season. Like, what exactly is going on in the Big 12, bro? The Big 12 is in shambles right now. Like, what are y'all doing? I don't understand. What is going on? Can somebody tell me? Can somebody tell me what exactly is going on in the Big 12 right now? Like, it's borderline disgusting. I thought this was the year Oklahoma was going to get to the college football playoff, truthfully. I was all in on the Kool-Aid. I really was. I was all in on the Kool-Aid, y'all. But look at this nonsense right here. How in the hell do you beat Oklahoma and then go out and get your doors blown off by a 2-win UCF team? Texas is the only hope. They won today. They beat TCU. They scraped them. They scraped by. But they're the only hope for the Big 12, man. This is gross. Ooh. Like, what is going on, man? And that's just college football for you at this point, man. I'm just shaking my head at it. Um, it's weird. Like I don't know. It's just weird when you see like the round robin, the pool play where you're seeing like the bottom of the barrel conference non contenders sneaking up on teams and getting wins. I mean, I guess the cliche thing is to say, "Oh, they were emotionally drained from the win over Oklahoma in a big rivalry game." Like yada yada yada. You gotta come to play every week, big fella. Straight up. I mean, what are you gonna do? Hey, you know what I'm saying? It's just I don't know. It's embarrassing, man. The Big 12 is kind of looking like a joke at the moment. I'm just saying, no disrespect, man. But we gotta call it how we see it. We gotta call it how we see it, man. And that's how we seeing it right now. That's how we seeing it right now. But I gotta say, man, the most exciting game of the day, that Duke and Carolina game, boy. Who went down to the wire? Do you hear me? Some great games today overall, though, man. We're getting to that point in the season where, hey, every game matters. Every win is crucial. It's conference championships on the line. It's a national playoff, college playoff spots on the line. It's a lot on the line right now. A lot of teams battling, man. So we're gonna keep y'all up with the latest and the greatest. I just wanted to hop on and kind of rap with y'all for a second. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button for all the latest and the greatest, though. And holler at me in the comments. Let me know how y'all are feeling about the biggest storylines in college football. Who are going to be the final four? Who's the most likely to lose? Who's the most overrated? Y'all holler at your boy. Until next time, hey, we out.